The Middle Ages. An era lasted for centuries, where the Catholic Church not only held the human soul, but also dominated the throne and the spear. In the darkness of the Romanesque and Gothic churches, in the basements of ancient monasteries, different ideas began to whisper, then gradually became a voice. It is the voice of the protest, of the people who ask questions, deny the sacred order, and are called with a prejudiced name, monks. They are not the same, but they have the same point. The belief cannot be extinguished. This is the story of the 6 biggest middle movements in the Middle Ages, the small sparks in the night challenging an entire sacred empire. 1. Cathars, Puritans of the pure light. Southern France, 12th century. In the quiet valleys, another faith grew quietly. The Cathars, also known as Albigensians, believed that the material world was a product of darkness. Only the soul, the pure light, was worthy of salvation. They rejected the cross, the rites of the church itself. For them, faith needed no chapels, no vestments. It required only simplicity, humility, and a noble spirit. But that faith was seen as a danger. In 1209, under the orders of Pope Innocent III, the Albigensian Crusade broke out. Blood was shed on the land of Toulouse and Béziers. Whole cities were wiped out in a single day. "Kill them all," said a Vatican envoy. "God will know who his children are." That is how the Church extinguished the light that they considered dangerous. 2. Waldensians, people of the gospel and poverty. Peter Waldo, a wealthy merchant from Lyon, gave up everything, wealth, position, reputation, to preach the gospel like the first apostles. He believed that everyone, regardless of status, could have access to the Bible. The Waldensians, his followers, did not build churches, did not accumulate wealth. They traveled throughout the Alps, read the Bible in the local language, lived among the poor, but that made them enemies. For the church, they were disruptors of order. In 1184, they were condemned as heretics. The persecution lasted for centuries, but the Waldensians did not disappear. They became the seeds which later blossomed into branches of the Protestant Reformation. 3. Lollard, Voices from England. Oxford, 14th century. John Wycliffe, theologian, thinker, put forward a dangerous idea. Not the church, but the Bible itself is the supreme authority. He translated the Bible into English, a revolutionary act. His followers, the Lollards, became symbols of rebellion in feudal England. They believed that every person should have the right to read, understand and live by the word of God. Without the intermediary of a priest, many of them were arrested and burned at the stake, but fire could not burn the idea. The pages of the Bible written in English, secretly circulated, became the fire that lit up a generation after. 4. Heresies, the fire of revolt in Bohemia. Bohemia, a land of fog, legend and resistance. Jan Hus, priest, scholar, and university lecturer at Prague University, challenged the Roman Catholic Church with truth. He preached in Czech, denouncing the corruption and indulgent selling of the church. In 1415 he was lured to the Council of Constance, promised safety, but he was captured and burned alive. Thousands of Czechs were outraged. They took up arms, built fortresses, and resisted the crusades launched by the Pope. The Hussite movement was one of the first armed uprisings for religious causes, and though they were eventually crushed, they sowed the seeds of a national awakening. 5. Bogomils, a mysterious wave from Eastern Europe. Further east in the shadow of the Byzantine Empire, a movement emerged in the 10th century. The Bogomils. From Bulgaria, they spread throughout the Balkans. They believed that this world was created by an evil force, and that the soul must free itself from the temporary world. They rejected rituals, symbols, relics. Bogomils did not build temples, they preached in the woods, on the mountains. For the Church, they were heretics in visible dangers. Many were arrested, burned, exiled. But their ideas did not disappear. They crossed the mountains and flowed into Western Europe, deeply influencing the Cathar movement. 6. Brethren of the free spirit, when people consider themselves divine. Western Europe, 13th century. In the towns that were growing with trade and new thinking, a strange movement arose. Brethren of the free spirit, those who believed that the soul could be completely united with God, and, when they did, they became absolutely innocent, beyond morality. Some claimed that they no longer needed the Church, no laws, no boundaries between sin and happiness. Such claims were dangerous for the time. They were hunted down, condemned as heretics, but deep down they showed a desire to be free from all the systems that had defined the Middle Ages. Official history is often written by the victors, but in the torn and burned pages the voices of the heretics still echo. They were not all alike, but they were all seeking the same thing, truth in their own way. And it was they, not just the popes, kings, or crusaders, who made up the most important part of medieval history. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you think this story deserves to be told, please share it.